I think we can do better than that. The first thing I have to do is get rid of all this clutter and non-clutter things alike. I'm non-discriminatory here at Simply Easy DIY. Normally before I begin a project, I sit down at my computer and sketch things out so I know what to cut. I'm not going to do that in this instance because I've chosen to use the walls of the house as the carcass of my pantry. But how does that change things, you ask? Well, one thing I learned over the years is that house walls are never plumb and corners are never square. So if I make my cuts as though they were plumb and square, I'm gonna run into problems that are only gonna serve to frustrate me down the road. So as I cross a bridge, I'll burn it at that time. Or however that saying happens to go. These wall anchors generally have a nail that needs to be removed before I pull the anchor out. If you don't do that, then it's probably gonna yank about 3 inches of the surrounding drywall out with it. Looks like there's a few layers of paint I'm dealing with here, so I'll flush that as best I can with this scraper. Before I fill these holes, I'll press the edges in with a flathead screwdriver. Because I'll eventually be closing this space in with cabinet doors, I'm going to take the walls back to a basic white. If I don't, this tan color is just going to serve to make everything darker and harder to see in the pantry. I don't want that, so a fresh coat of paint and primer in one does the trick. Time to gather some shelf ledges. I've picked through my scrap bin and found several pieces of lumber that'll do me. Anything more I need, I'll just rip and cut from regular 1x4s that I already have in my shop. For the most part, these pieces are not going to be seen, so it's okay if I have a few blemishes that may make them undesirable in other applications. However, I am going to spend some time to make them all uniform size. So I'll send them through my planer a couple of times, then rip them to 1-inch widths on the table saw. Then, cut them the length on the miter saw. Take them over to my work table, line them up, pre-drill some pilot holes. I'm measuring about 24 inches up from the floor to start my shelves. This is the only measurement I'm going to be making while installing the shelf. Everything else will feed off of that one mark. Level it across and pre-drill a hole for a wall anchor using the ledge piece itself. Then drive a wall anchor. These I'm using just happen to be 50-pound anchors. Re-level that, and because there's a stud in this back corner, I'll pre-drill a pilot hole and drive a 3-inch screw at an angle instead of using another anchor in the back. Our house is concrete block construction, so the studs where I'm working are not 16 inches on center, they are 24. So I only have studs at each of the corners of this space. Not everybody has to deal with that, so if you can find studs to anchor the ledges to, I always recommend that over drywall anchor. Just follow that procedure all the way around. For the second shelf and everyone thereafter, I'm going to use a spacer set on top of the first ledge to mark for the next. Rinse and repeat. For the shelves, I've gone to my local home improvement store, picked up a full sheet of 3/4 inch ply and rolled it right over to the board cutting area. I know the depth of my shelves is to be 20 inches, so I had them cross cut the sheet every 21 inches. That makes things easier on me at home because now I don't have to cut full-size sheet goods. I only have to trim the pieces to final size. So first I'll cut the width using a circular saw. Then I'll take that over to my table saw and trim the depth from the 21 inches I had to store cut to the 20 inches that I actually need. I never have them cut to an exact measurement because their equipment may not be accurate. I know one of my stores, their panel saw is not squared up, and if I have them cross cut something, it actually comes out 1/4 of an inch different from one end to the other. Pro tip. Check your eye level for a project like this. I'm painting the top of my shelves for a cleaner look. However, the top 2 shelves are actually above eye level, which means we'll be able to see the underside of those shelves. So after these have dried, I'll pick 2 of them, flip them over, and paint the other side as well. And then those 2 pieces are going to become the top 2 shelves in my new pantry. Tacking these in place isn't really necessary. It's not like they're going to go anywhere. Time to work on the face frame. I picked up some 1x2 pieces of red oak to match the cabinets that I already have in my room. So after trimming this up a little bit on my miter saw, I'll go ahead and see if this fits. All right, pretty good. I want the face frame cross pieces to match up with the shelves, so to do that, all I have to do is mark a line while I have the vertical piece in place. I'll do that for both sides. The face frame will be assembled using pocket holes, so I'll take care of that right now. Pretty self-explanatory. What you see is what you get. Just make sure those cross pieces line up with the marks and I should be good to go. Now, before I attach the face frame, let's address those naked edges of the shelves. Some oak edge banding is pretty cheap. I usually keep a roll or 2 in my shop at all times. And I used to steal my wife's iron until she threatened bodily harm, and then I just went out and bought a $5 one for myself. It's one of those things you don't think of keeping in a shop, but it actually comes in handy in more than one way. All right, that is looking a lot better. Now let's take this and see if it fits. .23 gauge pins leave the slightest of marks that really can't be seen unless you're looking for them. That is looking a lot better than it did for sure. I will eventually close this in behind some pantry cabinet doors, but I am having a little bit of difficulty finding enough of the materials I need locally, and I'm for sure not going to drive an hour just to go get them. So that is going to be a project for another time and another video. Subscribe if you haven't, that way you don't miss any new video projects. Until then.